convention. My name is Dave Alexander. I'm the editor-in-chief of Broomworth Magazine. And I'm glad none of you guys had your glasses on, or you would have saw what just showed you said obey, consume, stay for the panel. So I'm very happy to introduce our They Live panel and to moderate it. So let's bring everyone on up. Come on guys, let's give it up. Nervous to sit in a chair and be behind you with another chair. Otherwise, a lot of rest of
about folding metal chairs. It's okay. These ones are always really hard to hit people with. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, the ADD, you know. Well, you know. This is the first time we've all been together since we shot the movie. Yeah. Holy cow. Nice to see you. We'll be ready to talk amongst yourselves. Nice to see you.
So good to see you, Ron.
Hug it up, guys.
Some of the shit that went on when this movie was being made, if they all knew about that. They used to make it, oh, shut up.
We'll get into it, we'll get into it.
No, they used to make, okay.
We're good. Everyone gets a mic? Let's go down the line. Start with Meg, and why don't you tell us what was going on, where were you at in your career, when you got offered the opportunity to be in this movie, and how you got on board?
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi. This is why. Where was I? I had been living in New York City, and I came back to California. And where was I? Oh gosh, I'm looking pretty far back. I was in California, and my agent called me and said that he had an appointment for a man by the name of John Carpenter. And I said, there he is. I got in my car and I drove to Mr. Carpenter's home. And yeah, there you were. And I sat down and we all just spoke, Roddy and John and I. And John went out of the room and I started talking about our children. And you said to me, you said, I got 2 girls. Geez, I got 2 girls. I said, no. I said, I have a son. You know, how's your... And I said, just 16. Oh. I said, I got 2 girls. And he said, no. The first girl, she's an angel. She's quiet, she likes pink. And then he said, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I got a number 2 child. And she's I don't know what I'm going to do.
I've done so much wrong.
I mean, what is it? I said, well, she's number 2. Number 2 is the total opposite of number 1. And she went, and there was this news thing. And I went home. This is what I remember anyway. I went home. And my son, I'm a single parent, and my son had started wrestling in New York City at McBurney Y, public school. And he was going to Santa Monica Public School. And I came home, and cooking hamburgers, and I'm at the sink, and I say, hi, Chris. Hi, Mom. And I said, how was your day? He said, day was good. He said, Well, I had a wonderful day, Chris. And I was like, God, you know, Mom. And I said, I met two very nice men today. This wonderful man, John Carpenter. And you know, I'm so the house is so nice, and he composes music, and he's a filmmaker. But I don't know, it's just really nice. And how about your hamburger? You know, but it ended up with, and I said, oh, and I met this wonderful man. Christopher, he's got two girls. We were talking about kids, he's a wrestler, Chris. His name is Roddy, and my son went, Roddy Piper. No, all of a sudden he was at my back. I'm flipping my hamburger. I said, yes, his name is Roddy Piper. It was the first time in my life as a parent that my son actually, I mean, it's so funny because we're all moms, we're all dads, we're all kids, and my son actually just was breathless. And it was, you know, it was like, and so far, you know, in so far as career, I am where I am in the moment. And it's very funny, I can't go backwards, I can't go forwards, and that's what my day was like when I met John.
Sir, let's, I know that John had approached you at WrestleMania 3 about the film. What was that conversation like? Why was he so interested in you being in this movie?
It was like this. WrestleMania 3, there was, I think it's still the indoor record in America anyway, 93,000 people. And since I was like 15, they just had me in cars and airplanes. I never heard of John Carpenter. I didn't know who he was, you know. I still watch him Leave It to Beaver. They wanted dinner after WrestleMania 3. And it was just as simple as like, pass the rolls, you want some butter, you know, be my next movie, sure, can I have some more champagne? And then I found out who he was. Oh man, you know, I didn't give him much respect, I didn't think, but he was really nice about it. And then we started talking creatively about it. But that was the first moment that I've been with him. He well.
That's a huge deal to suddenly jump into the starring role of a film. How are you feeling about that?
It didn't bother me at all, to be honest with you, because I didn't know what I was getting into. Well, you know, I hadn't had these two folks, it would have been a lot harder. You know, they didn't like me. Vince McMahon got really angry at me for leaving the WWE, EFG, whatever it is. And he said to me, I'll have you another movie in 4 weeks if you don't take it. And I said, because now I know who he is, not with John Carpenter directing anymore. And then he sent me a message. He said to my lawyer, you tell Piper that Hogan and I are the only true blue WWFers. And that's what started the heat between us. And then when I come to Hollywood, because I needed to take it serious, acting is so difficult. And like these people, what they put into their art to get it, and I was perceived as just another jock coming in. So Hollywood didn't like me. That guy used to not be liked a lot. But I was the main event for a long time by that time. And so being put in a high pressure situation, I didn't even think about that part of it. But then it got really difficult. I don't want to get into that really.
We'll explore the nuts and bolts a little bit later. How about yourself, Keith? I mean, obviously you guys have worked together previously in the thing. Yes. Is it a matter of, is he the kind of guy who says, no, you're going to be in this film, or I would like you to audition for this film?
No, it was the first time in my yes, the first time in my career that the director called me up. He said, Keith, I want to send you this script. Now, I wrote it for you. I wrote it with you in mind. And you got to tell me if you think it's, racist or if it has any stuff in it that's really not cool. And I said, well, because first of all, it's Hollywood. You think people are alive. People tell you things and they don't follow through with it. But he did. He sent me the script, and I know why he had that question. But in context of the world he was trying to create, I didn't find anything racist about it. So I told him that. I mean, it was, as I believed then, as I believe now, the misnomer of racism is really created by economics, and it's overshadowed by economics is the underlying thing about it, and it's easy to place other isms on top of that when the bottom line is it's about economics. So I thought I recognized that, and I said, hey man, I'd love to be in this. And I had been working somewhat with the Homeless Foundation in New York, where I'm from. And I was made very aware by them that I'm homeless, not helpless. And there was a whole contingency of people who were what's called the working homeless. They could not afford housing, but they went to work every day, but because of how they had to play catch up, they just couldn't, they had no place to live, so they would live in little villages like we had in New York. Or they would find in places like that, they would find hovels, they would find places, they would wash up in restaurant bathrooms. And at the time, back in those days, you could go to the park, and the park did have an open restaurant, so you could use it, and you could wash up in there. So that's, what that was. So, him having made that offer, after reading it, I went, wow, he's really offering me a home. So, I was glad to work.
I would have to expect you to say, after the shoot that the thing was, and sitting outside in the cold, and you would have said, John Carpenter, F off.
My first movie was The Thing. And I thought, although The Thing did not get good reviews when it opened up, it was supposed to be the big universal summer moneymaker. But Poltergeist had come out, and E.T. had overshadowed everything. It stayed #1 for weeks. Now, nobody asked me. Nobody asked me. In my humble ass opinion, The Thing was a winter movie. It should have come out in October. It should have come out between Halloween and Christmas. In fact, right around the winter break, right before Thanksgiving, it would have been a perfect Thanksgiving movie. But they wanted to be the big summer honeymoon. So they opened it in July. And I thought to myself, who thought this shit out? But again, they didn't ask me. So, so hence, like I said, it was overshadowed by E.T. And it was, at the time, the special effects were all innovative and stuff. So people thought, oh God, it's so boring, you can't take your kids to it. Well, don't take your kids! I thought the reviewer says it's not that you can take your kids to. Don't take your kids! It's a scary movie! Anyway, that was my
One of the reasons we all love They Live, and one of the reasons I think it's become more and more popular, is that the themes of the film are more vital now than they were then. It was strangely you know, telling us about our future in that film. But, I mean, when it came out in the 80s, the Reagan days, it's a very different time. What was that reception like? What did you guys kind of think when it would come out? What was the climate around this movie?
I don't know what the climate was, but
75 party club.
showers in the afternoon and earthquakes.
Let me phrase it this way. This is sort of a very, I guess, extremely critical movie of sort of the Reagan way of thinking. Coming out at a time when he was at the height of his popularity. That's a big deal. That's a ballsy move.
I remember talking to Sandy, who was the producer, and when, you know, two things happened. They had, the New York Times had posted a picture of Roddy Piper and my name. So it took about 2 weeks for them to apologize for that. The movie came out, and it was right on the cusp of DVDs, you know, before things went straight to DVD. It was right around the time that was beginning to happen. It was number one in the movie, in the country, for 2 weeks. 2 weeks straight, it was the number one movie. After the 2 weeks, you couldn't find it anywhere. It went off the planet. And I said to Sandy, she said, obviously it pissed somebody off. Because you couldn't see, I mean, you just couldn't find it. I mean, it was just not to be found. And that's again, one of the things that caused it to become a sort of underground cult kind of film. Because both the thing and, I mean, John Carpenter's kind of like that, but the thing and They Live just went underground. I mean, it just, you know, when the people who liked it really liked it, because you got something done. It's a great fan base. But generally, at large, you don't find a whole lot of people. I mean, nowadays it's 30 years later, so people know it from it being shown, you know. But and if from that time, it could have gone away from memory because it just disappeared.
And Roddy, I know you're a strapping prairie boy from Saskatchewan, salt of the earth kind of guy, Golden Gloves champion in the wrestling. And I also know that your father was a Mountie, and at one point you had a falling out. Now there seems to be some parallels between this character that you play, a guy who's the sort of salt of the earth guy who's got problems with authority. How close are you to that character? Did you feel a real kinship?
I feel like I should be laying on the couch. I'm sorry, I made that snowball. I didn't know it was none, you know. John Carpenter took a chance on me because he wanted to make a statement in this film. Like, these two artists here, they understood the whole Reaganomics of it. I've never been allowed to vote ever in my life. I'm not from this country, and I was too young in the country I left. So politics has never been a big part of my life, other than trying to do the right thing. So when John was talking about the character Nada, which means nothing, and I'm like the only guy that needs to explain that to me, right? Everybody else here speaks Spanish, you know, I'm still with the Latin, you know. So nada means nothing, boys and girls. Anyway, and it was very important to John Carpenter that his character, Nada, you didn't know anything about him. And at the time, and still to this day, nobody knows anything about me. In the book I wrote before 50. John Nada, the character, wore a wedding ring. but nothing was ever mentioned. You didn't know where he was from. You didn't really know what he did. You know, other than nada, nothing, you knew nothing. And that's being some of the mystique of the guy. And yeah, a lot was, I realized this, that I went to an acting class run by a teacher named Sal Dano on Robertson in Los Angeles, because I understood finally that what they're doing is really difficult art. And I wanted them to know the respect I had for it. But like, I sucked at it. You know, when I went into this acting class and I'd film different pieces and bring it back to John, and I guess you don't do that after you get the job. And I said, what do you think of this one? You know, whatever, it really sucked, you know. I got to call that Piper, you know. But sometimes ignorance is bliss, and I was blissful. Yeah, and he had asked a lot of questions. There's a little piece in there that John had asked a lot of questions about myself. So there's a lot of similarities, I guess, from the point that didn't come from it.
And let's go back down to Meg. Maybe we'll work our way down. And just tell us a little bit about working with Carpenter. He's kind of got this rebel filmmaker thing going on, but also kind of this laid-back Texas guy thing. What's he like?
Same.
Like, my dad was a great man.
He's a police officer in Canada.
And he raised a great boy. Mr. Carpenter, he's well, he's a musician. And he, I worked with another gentleman, who's a bit of a renegade, Sam Peckinpah. And Sam, of course, started his career before there were independent films being made with it. And Mr. Carpenter is one who veered away from studios as well. Mr. Carpenter accomplished something that I think that inspired all the filmmakers after him. He is somebody whose work inspires you, everything about you, if you love film. He does make you think, he makes you laugh, but he's always on another level. And the wonderful thing is that with any of his films, you go there without even knowing him, and then you love him and you want him. You know? And there are always these wonderful messages. His music goes hand in hand with it. He's very vibrational. And he's a very easygoing man. He says when you meet him, when it stops being fun, you start doing it. It's a very organized, gentle set, really. I mean, that was the amazing thing. Well, I didn't get to do that. But I wish I did. But true, but when I met him that day at his home, you know, we spoke and I said, you know, this script is terribly frightening. And it's so prevalent. It's prevalent in any society. And it's, I knew immediately that it was them, and there are thems all along. Your children will come home and say, they did this, do you know? But this was the powerful them, you know, the masks that people wear. And it's treachery, and it's throughout the world. But the wonderful thing about, I think, that they live was that, as you said, that he was every man and no man. The thing that I loved is that when I read it, I could have been anywhere. You know, you think about where are you really? Well, you're in the city. Who are they? Well, they're anybody. Who is he? He's anybody. Who's him? Another anybody. You know, you think about walking around streets in the cities, anywhere, and we're all them. But then there are the real ones, and the real ones are the power people, and the real ones are the corporations, and the real ones are the politicians, and the real ones are the ones pulling the strings. And so, in the film, though, what I thought was extraordinary is that, and in viewing it as well as when I read it, that it's in a cosmopolitan area. It covers every base. It covers the homeless. It covers I'm sort of corporate. You don't really know, you know, and that you're in a city and you don't see anyone. And that's what we feel like in a city. We don't see anyone. And all of a sudden somebody's at us, and it's them. It's just, it was extraordinarily moving. And I think Carpenter's just extraordinary. He's a wonderful man.
You must be an extraordinary director in terms of working with actors to get you guys to do such a physical, epic fight scene. That must have tested you guys. I know everyone here is dying to hear about the fight scene. Everyone loves it. So take us through.
I'm not going to piss him off.
It was the most fun I've ever had. I mean, I'm working with Roddy Piper, and pound for pound, the strongest man I've ever come across. I mean, there was a mood. First of all, we rehearsed for 2 weeks, which was great. Jeff Amado was the coordinator, and he was wonderful. I mean, you know, it's choreography, so. Our job is to sell it, to make it look good. And who better to work with than him? I mean, that part was great. I'm just had to work up my chops and go, man, I don't do it like him. But we, you know, and I do remember the night right before, it was 3 days of filming, and we rehearsed for 2 weeks, up to those 3 days. And the night before we were to start that film, E.T. came to film us. And we had always, up until then, except for maybe in the very beginning, I mean, when you're choreographing for fights on film, it's all about angles. Because you can literally, I can be 10 feet away from somebody, and if the camera's behind me, we swing right and they react right, it looks like I hit him. So it's always about the distance. But that was always being stressed. He never hit me, and I almost died. Except for that night, as soon as the camera rolled for E.T., the first move was punching in the face. And where am I standing but too close? And I go bang and I go, oh shit, I'm sorry. It's okay, just stop it. I was so embarrassed because I just finished telling the guy, no, he never hurt me. He's always been safe for me. We never got him. And boom! But I mean, it was some of the most fun I've had because we really got to play. It was great stuff. We got to sell it. And I learned a few moves, so don't miss it.
All right, I want to hear your side of this story.
Okay. Shoosh. Well, like Keith is a 220-pound dancer that hits like Mike Tyson, doesn't even know it. He is extraordinary. An incredible guy. I guess maybe from dancing, and you got to be really strong to do that. He's a really, really strong guy. Really strong. And and he hits really, really hard. And thinks he's pulling him. Glad you never met Hogan. Because to remember everything, I've been doing it for so long, to remember everything like he did, extraordinary. I think one of the things that helped the fight out was, instead of shooting a fight in the traditional sense where they do a couple things and break it down and do a couple breakdown, John let us kind of, okay, we're starting, and we went as far as we could, and that gets an energy. And when Keith's hitting me in the tummy, I said, it's okay, go ahead. Stay fast too. Go ahead, it's okay, Keith. And he's such a pro. I don't know of any other actor, especially, I was a little difficult to handle back then. So I hear, and to hang in there, because I had to fight like Andre the Giant, Victor the Bear, 650-pound fucking bear, Victor. Like he needed a name. I'm the bear, I'm Victor. No, I'll remember you. So by the time I got to Keith, I was kind of a tough piece of meat, and I don't blame you. I get tired too. You did really well, and just go ahead. Again. What an asshole! Yeah, you missed this way, but catch me in the eye coming back with a thumb. Like, fuck, man, let's just go as far as we can. Like 3 rolls into it, everything's hurting on me, and he's happy, because you're like Roddy Piper. Put the glasses on, nothing like that, or the keys to the car, but we'd still be there. I wasn't going to lose. It was in an alley, and when I got to the alley, they were swapping it down because all the homeless people the night before, it was their urinal. It's nothing like making movies. Hollywood now, having a good time. But it kept the energy up. And because Keith is a competitor, and like right here, when he was speaking, is he coming back? Thank you. He's a competitor. So when you got into it, like, boom, he's got a good memory. He knew when to throw them, and he was there. And to keep from everybody getting killed, especially me, just had to keep a certain amount of control and a lot of ducking going on. But I like this part about it, because John wanted, so the guys on the other side can see. They did the same thing in the movie. She's so beautiful. Rod, there's the camera, look over there. They're so on it. So sweet. I was an asshole. I mean, you've been bullying me for years. You stabbed me 3 times. I guess that meant you didn't like me a lot, but you bought a lot of dolls and, confusing. That's doing, they were writing a song about me. The first line was, he's got more issues than TV Guide. Anyway, so, in the fight, this is the coolest part for me. John Carpenter had me watch The Quiet Man with John Wayne in the Ringo era. And that was the longest fight in cinema history at that time. And he told me he wanted to fight longer than that. But he wanted a fight between 2 friends. And That's a whole, and what a wonderful job Keith did.
I knew it would be frank in front of him.
And John Carpenter wanted a fight between two friends because the fight of They Lived matched the characters and the arc of the script, as opposed to like if a lot of martial arts fight, I got all the respect in the world for them, but you know, like 87 punches and 126 kicks later, you know, yeah, I got you, no one's going down, and, you know, but in this fight, my favorite part of it was this, is when it was over, is there was a place where I took a 2x4 and Keith was by a car, and I swung the 2x4 at his head. I remember telling him, I said, oh, resident, hey brother, you know, you need to move because I'm coming, you know, and he was good about moving. And it broke the windshield of the car. At that time, the character John Nada went like, oh, what am I doing? This is my friend, I could have hurt you. At the same time, that pissed Frank Armitage off. No, that was the guy, right? Frank, did you have a last name? Gotcha, Frank, I don't remember. And he grabs a wine bottle and breaks it to come back to me, but he cuts his own hand. And that makes me, as his friend, laugh and concern. Which is a dumbass thing to do. But, which makes him even more angry, and he comes charging and we go backwards, I think, over a couple of bars. But, so that whole sequence in there was the same as the relationship that we had in the movie. So the fight and the arc of the fight matched the movie. And also, I think they cut 5 minutes off, but it's the longest fight in cinema history. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I think, I know, it's in the top 10 fights in cinema history. And I couldn't have done it without the heart and professionalism that he brought to it.
Put your hand up. Right there.
This is for Roddy. It seemed like you had a lot of fun working on the video for the Goonies. Did you have a good time doing that?
The question is about working on the video for the Goonies. Did you have a good time? What was it like?
Yeah. The fat kid on the video for the Goonies, he's my lawyer now. And when we did the Goonies, he was getting a little fat, and the other sheep picked him up under his arm, and he ran away and cried for a couple of days, and that was the best thing that happened to him because he's good at it and he's a great attorney.
Has it ever gotten you out of trouble with the judge by doing the truffle shuffle?
Oh, dude, if you watch TMZ, you'll know I just get into trouble, not out.
Right here in front.
The scene I remember was you walk into the back. You do that famous line. I'm going to repeat it because I cannot do it justice. I came here to fill in the blanks. I mean, what kind of direction did John told you? He gave you any kind of direction on the scene like this or?
Yeah, he says action. And then he says, but then John says, hold the roll, which means like burn, you know, we're burning film and everybody's working. And he said to me, Rod, he says, you're going in a bank and you got sunglasses on and a shotgun and bullets, but you're not supposed to rob, rob the bank, you need to say something. You know, so I'm all out of bubble gum. Lunch! it. And that's stupid, you know. It's just a line I made up. And it was like one I was going to use maybe on wrestling. I don't know, I used to write things down. And then when I wrote them down, they'd come back to my head at the time. I didn't get it, really, why the line became so popular. You know, because I tried to plant lines since then, I don't know the word. And it's just tiny.
Like you got a bottle.
Yeah. But you know something that, we're speaking in French, so maybe, she's so sweet. And remember she had to hit me with a bottle going out the window, right? So she's trying to take care of me. And I get candy bottles and such, but so it's time, and you know, again, this is what started it. And so she comes up, she's trying to take care of me, so she goes, and the bottle didn't break. No, I'm fine. John says, just a little harder there, maybe. Action. No, I'm fine. Just a little harder there, Meg. Over on the action. But she was just being real sweet, but I almost got knocked out by a candy bottle. It was a huge bottle. It was heavy. Yeah. Thick.
Questions? Let's go way back. You, sir, with the awesome scar painted on your head.
Meg Foster,
Yes, sir.
you always seem to end up as an evil character. Did you choose that, or did they choose you?
He wants to know why you play so many evil characters.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I have a temper, but only when.
Yeah.
I know, probably not. Say?
It's not a bad.
It is not bad. It is not a bad thing. No, it isn't. But no, I didn't choose it. But it's interesting. You do tend to. I guess for some reasons we get slotted somewhere. I didn't necessarily think that, for instance, with Holly, I didn't think that she was nasty at all. She was a lot of fun to play. But the only thing that was really difficult was when we were walking up to the roof. I don't know why I hadn't thought of it. I just didn't, we didn't think. But we're walking up to the roof, and you two were going ahead of me, and you went up, and I was behind you, and you stopped, and he said, now pull out your gun and shoot. Shoot him in the head, and I beg you. I mean, he just said, I said, just like that? He said, just like that. I said, turn away. Because it's sort of extraordinary. I mean, we forget, but it's true. Do you know, I mean, it's like...
How many people figured out that she was going to shoot? Anybody, like, could you predict it?
Yeah. I didn't think about it until they said do it. But you know, I mean, that's the other thing, you were saying, like, you had the bubblegum line come. It's that wonderful thing that when you're there, you have these little spin in your head, and it's the right time, and it comes out, and it's perfection. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's what Roddy has. I mean, when I met Roddy, it was, John knew exactly what he was doing. He cast this film so well. Because you had everything, but there was this part that he knew all about. It came through on everything, with both of you. He knew what good friends you could be, and knew that you could really have that relationship. I can't think of anybody, can you really, who could play these two parts? Nobody. But I don't know why, but it's good neither. There you have it, huh?
We've got time for one more question. Who's got a really good one? Come on, wave your hands if you got a burning question right over here.
I guess it's actually two in one major quickly. Rodney, did John at all think about making a sequel of They Live, or kept it by, held left alone. And also Meg, QnA. Whatever happened at the end of the credits when Skeletor was in the lava and said, "I'll be back," and they never made a sequel.
I don't know.
The sequel to They Live, if there ever was one planned, and what about the He-Man sequel that seems to be coming?
But I understand that they're making a sequel right now to They Live. Or remake. I see the difference. I don't know. What's the difference between a remake and a sequel?
Not much.
Bad for making a film. A remake is they just kind of try to recreate what was. It's sort of reinventing your wheel. Most of the time you shouldn't do. A prequel, you know, I mean, that's left up to your opinion.
Okay. Well, what was the question?
Sequel or reboot?
John Carpenter.
Whatever you
I
say.
can say from a story point of view, I mean, one would have wanted or one could want a sequel. From the Hollywood economic point of view, now, you know, 30 years later, it has accumulated enough juice to merit a sequel. But from the sort of status quo point of view, if it makes millions of dollars in the first weekend, you'll probably see a sequel. If it don't, you're in. We came in this latter category. It did not do that, as we said. It went out of existence after 2 weeks. So, I mean, now somebody can rethink it, and now instead of thinking sequel, they're thinking of remake. So they can, you know, mess that up. Or, you know, I mean, who knows, it could be interesting, but I mean, they haven't asked any of us, and they probably won't, because you know when they do the remake, they're going to get somebody 16 years old. So.
I think Justin Bieber would be great.
Oh, you play Meg Foster's part.
I think we could probably sit here all afternoon and have a blast with these guys talking about They Live, but unfortunately we're out of time. But the wonderful news is these guys all have tables here and they're doing signings. You can come up and say hi and autographs and all that fun stuff. And we want to give them a huge round of applause for being here.
Let's exchange a couple of blows real quick before you leave. I knew what you meant, man.